In the words of the sheriff, all hell broke loose, and the worst single incident of racial violence in American history began. Welcome to the History Speaks, where today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 major historical events that school didn't teach you about. When reporters asked why one of the survivors didn't get up during the attack, they replied, "History had me glued to the seat." For this list, we'll be exploring important moments in world history that educators either barely mentioned or completely ignored, leaving us to discover them on the internet. Let us know which other events schools missed in the comments. Number 10. The Mao Massacre. In 1966, Mao Zedong's power in China was threatened, after the disastrous Great Leap Forward led to a massive famine, resulting in widespread suffering and death. To renew the communist spirit and eliminate his political opponents, Mao initiated the Cultural Revolution. He launched attacks on internal enemies, accusing bureaucrats of wanting to restore capitalism. Youth groups like the Red Guards formed, shutting down schools, ransacking religious places, and targeting anyone perceived as a threat to Mao's vision, including party officials and intellectuals. Mao waged a war against China's traditions and culture, seeking to obliterate what he deemed anti-socialist. Works of art and entertainment, including those by William Shakespeare, were banned. The revolution ultimately ended in 1976 with Mao's death, but not before it claimed up to 2 million lives and forced around 20 million to flee the chaos. As China reflects on this dark chapter, the legacy of Mao's regime remains a topic of intense debate and concern. Number 9. The Wall Street Attack. Before September 11th, the worst terrorist attack in the U.S. happened in 1920, when a horse-drawn carriage filled with dynamite exploded on Wall Street. This tragic event unfolded outside the U.S. Assay Office and opposite the J.P. Morgan and Company building. Hundreds of workers were taking their lunch break when the explosion sent shrapnel flying through the crowded streets, causing chaos and destruction. At least 38 people in the hearse died, while 143 were seriously injured. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories about the perpetrators, no one was ever formally charged, leaving this heinous crime unresolved. The only evidence that remains are the shrapnel marks still visible on the facade of J.P. Morgan's old building, a haunting reminder of the violence that once shook America's financial heart. Number 8. The Iranian Revolution. After years of rule by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, whose alignment with Western powers created mounting tensions, the situation in Iran escalated dramatically in 1978. As opposition to his regime grew, protests erupted across the country, fueled by accusations of corruption and brutality against the Shah's secret police. Protesters also blamed the regime for the horrific Cinema Rex fire, which claimed 477 lives. The military's violent suppression of dissent further inflamed the public's anger, leading to mass protests that ultimately forced the Shah to flee in 1979. Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile to become Iran's supreme leader, ushering in a new era marked by theocratic rule. His Islamic revolution inspired uprisings across the Middle East, fundamentally altering the region's political landscape and leading to decades of conflict and change. Number 7. The Stonewall Riots. In 1960s, New York, being part of the LGBTQ+ community, was fraught with danger. Police routinely raided LGBTQ+ bars and clubs, arresting patrons and abusing them in the process. The Stonewall Inn, a gathering place for the community, became the flashpoint in June 1969 when police attempted another raid. This time, the patrons fought back, leading to several days of rioting and civil unrest. This pivotal moment in history marked a turning point in the struggle for LGBTQ+ rights, as it galvanized activists and allies to demand equality and justice. The riots inspired the formation of organizations advocating for LGBTQ+ rights, culminating in the first Pride events in 1970. The legacy of Stonewall continues to resonate today, reminding us of the ongoing fight for equality. Number 6. Bacon's Rebellion. In 1676, long before the American Revolution, the seeds of rebellion were sown in Virginia. Colonist Nathaniel Bacon grew increasingly frustrated with Governor William Berkeley, his cousin, over high taxes, and the government's failure to protect settlers from Native American attacks. In an unprecedented move, Bacon organized a militia comprising both white and black colonists to confront the governor. Bacon's forces laid siege to Jamestown, ultimately forcing Berkeley to flee as they set the town ablaze. The rebellion marked a significant moment in American history, highlighting the deep social divisions and growing discontent among colonists. By the time England sent a naval force to restore order, Bacon had already died from illness, and Berkeley's government was left in tatters. This rebellion foreshadowed the tensions that would lead to the American Revolution. Number 5. The first bus refuser. Rosa Parks is often credited with igniting the civil rights movement when she refused to give up her bus seat in 1955. But months earlier, 15-year-old Claudette Colvin made a similar stand in Montgomery, Alabama. Colvin's refusal to move led to her arrest and conviction, becoming a significant yet often overlooked part of the civil rights narrative. Additionally, even further back in 1854, Elizabeth Jennings Graham was forcibly removed from a whites-only streetcar in New York. She bravely took her case to court and won, leading to the desegregation of the city's streetcars. The courage of these women paved the way for greater civil rights advancements, highlighting the critical role of grassroots activism in shaping American history. Number 4. The English Civil War. While England still has a monarchy today, it wasn't always that way. The English Civil War began in the 1640s when King Charles I repeatedly clashed with Parliament. Distrustful of parliamentary power, Charles attempted to govern without it, leading to escalating tensions between royalists and parliamentarians. The situation reached a boiling point when Charles attempted to arrest parliamentary opponents in 1642, marking the first time a reigning monarch entered the House of Commons and faced humiliation. This ignited a series of civil wars across England, Scotland, and Wales. Charles was ultimately captured, tried for treason, and executed in 1649, leading to the temporary abolition of the monarchy. The English Commonwealth, led by Oliver Cromwell, governed until the monarchy was restored in 1660, highlighting the struggle for power and governance in British history. Number 3. The Armenian Genocide. In the early 20th century, as World War I raged, the Ottoman Empire launched a brutal campaign against its Armenian population. The Young Turk Revolution of 1908 had initially raised hopes among Armenians, but rising nationalism and military failures led the Ottoman authorities to scapegoat Armenians for their woes. In 1915, a coordinated effort began, involving the arrest, deportation, and execution of Armenians. Survivors were forced to march through the Syrian desert without food or water, leading to countless deaths. By 1916, estimates indicate that over 1 million Armenians perished in this genocide, a dark chapter in history that remains a point of tension in international relations today. Number 2. The Trail of Tears. Ever since Europeans colonized the U.S., Native Americans have experienced numerous atrocities. In 1829, a gold rush in Georgia triggered the forced removal of the Cherokee Nation from their ancestral lands. President Andrew Jackson, who believed Native Americans had no rights to their land, initiated the Trail of Tears, forcibly displacing thousands. Between 1830 and 1850, approximately 100,000 people from various native nations were removed from their homes and relocated west of the Mississippi River. Tragically, about 1/3 of the 15,000 Cherokee who made the journey perished from disease, hunger, and exhaustion. This harrowing event remains a painful reminder of the injustices faced by Native Americans throughout history. Number 1. The Tulsa Race Massacre. In May 1921, Greenwood, a prosperous black neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as Black Wall Street, became the site of horrific violence. Triggered by false accusations against a black teenager, a white mob descended upon Greenwood, attacking residents and destroying businesses. Armed white residents, some deputized by local authorities, set fire to homes and buildings, resulting in a devastating loss of life. Estimates suggest that as many as 300 people were killed, and thousands were left homeless. The aftermath of the massacre was suppressed by the media, with officials downplaying the death toll. It wasn't until recent years that this tragic event gained the attention it deserves, shedding light on one of the worst incidents of racial violence in U.S. history. Thank you for joining us as we explored these important, yet often overlooked historical events. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You can choose to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, remember to check your settings and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our content.